Hello, y'all. This is Allie here with you. I am a psychedelic integration and holistic health coach, and I help leaders, seekers, and visionaries realize their full potential through plant medicine, integrative health, and soul-aligned coaching with myself. And today I just wanted to touch on microdosing. That is one of the main modalities that I use in my coaching. And I wanted to just put more information out there. I get a lot of inquiries all the time for different reasons. A lot of moms have been microdosing. People want to transition off of SSRIs. People want to feel more present and more balanced, more in tune with their emotions, less reactive. There are so many benefits to microdosing. And so I really just wanted to touch on them and also debunk a lot of the myths surrounding them. And I always really cherish scientific backing and data and the analytical side of things. So I wanted to just provide some of the clinical research that is coming out as well. So what exactly is microdosing? I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it seems to be all of the rage these days. It's all over the news. It's all over my Instagram feed, my internet feed. Microdosing is taking about 5 to 10% of a full hallucinogenic dose of a psychedelic substance. In this case, I work with psilocybin, the substance found in medicinal mushrooms. And so there's no hallucinogenic effects, there's no visions, you don't get the full experience of the psychedelic, you don't get high. It's more of a daily practice. I like to call it a vitamin for the nervous system. And for me, it's more centered around the subtleties, the process of it. It's recommended to have a practice, a minimum 30 days, max 90 days, and then take a break, and then you can get back onto your protocol. But really, the whole purpose is to create a sustainable, almost ritual, or for me, it's a daily practice of presence, of grounding, of intentionality. And in that process, I think is really the true magic. It's not necessarily the pill itself. Yes, we can get into the effects that it has, but for me, what's helped me the most is just the presence and the intention that it's given me. My intent here too is just purely education. I like to bring awareness to things like psychedelics and plant medicines because there is a lot of stigma and fear and taboo surrounding them. Just religious regions, conditioning from our government, and I can get into the conspiracy later on, but I do wholeheartedly, with my entire soul, believe in their medicinal and healing properties for transformation and transcendence, or realizing our potential, whatever you want to call it. They do have the ability to expand our minds and to really bring us into our bodies. And medicinal mushrooms have been used for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years by indigenous cultures, by ancient civilizations, for spiritual reasons, for connecting with the divine, for medicinal purposes. And so it's really interesting that in our Western world, we don't tend to acknowledge that. We tend to almost approach them with more fear. And like there's something that's sacrilegious or wrong. And I do believe that is from the conditioning that we hear from our government, from the Catholic Church in my experience. And I do think that is partially because they do expand our mind beyond the matrix, beyond this reality that we live in. We start to see really the way things are for their true nature and not the way that we've been conditioned to or been taught to. And so we start to question. And we start to look at the world in a different way. We start to look at our behaviors and patterns in a different way. We start to take responsibility for ourselves. We start to notice that we are actually a conscious creator here on earth. We have the ability to create the life that we want. We're not this thing that is destined to their fate or stuck in this life. We can consciously take action and ownership of our life and get past what's holding us back. They opened that door to awareness. And so once we become more aware of it, then we have to either take action in our life and take responsibility and ownership and really make the change, or just kind of stay the way we are. And I think it almost feels impossible to stay the way that you are once you work with plant medicine and psychedelics. And I think that's a big reason why people are afraid to, because they know that they're going to have to take ownership and responsibility of their life. For me personally, this was certainly true. I did a lot of shadow work when I first started working with psilocybin mushrooms. I was just seeing what I was holding on to, a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of selfishness, a lot of thinking I'm a bad person, of just things that have stuck with me really since childhood. Like a lot of childhood memories would come up. And it wasn't a bad thing. It honestly was through a compassionate lens, but it was exactly what was needed. We can't hold on to these old operating systems and expect to get any change in our life or to realize what we actually want if we're still operating out of limitations and conditioning. And so they really are like a QR code for the subconscious mind. They'll bring up what needs to be alchemized so we can process it or work through it, integrate it so that we can take the next step in our chapter. So how does psilocybin work on our body and brain? So psilocybin becomes psilocin and it acts on the 5-HTA receptors in our brain, which are responsible for mood. It also modulates our amygdala, which is the fear and threat response region of our brain. And so this is why when people microdose or work with mushrooms, they start to feel more grounded. You'll hear they feel more grounded, more present, less reactive. And that is because we are not firing our survival brain so much. We're coming into a more embodied, calm state. By acting on the 5-HTA receptors, it does enhance our mood and help us to find that self-compassionate lens. It connects the two brain hemispheres so that we're getting better communication. It connects different parts of the brain, different regions, and it has been believed up till recent years that once we are past the age of, I think, like 25, we can't create new neural pathways. It's like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And science has proven this wrong time and time again. And it's actually proving that psilocybin really helps this process of creating new neural pathways, of new ways of being, of helping us to continuously evolve in our life. And so that we're not, again, fixed beings who are stuck. We'll constantly have the ability to shapeshift and expand into whoever we want to be. And what's really interesting is the 5-HTA receptors are the same receptors that SSRIs work on. And I have seen it many, many times. A lot of folks are interested in microdosing to help taper off of SSRIs. There is this there that 60% of people who are on SSRIs do not think that they work or really don't know why that they're on them. And SSRIs are really, really great for many, many people. I'm not a doctor. I would never recommend anybody go off their SSRI, or I'm not implying that it's a perfect alternative. But there is a lot of benefits to microdosing versus SSRIs because the SSRIs will blunt everything that you experience. Yes, they blunt the depression or the feelings of sadness or maybe unworthiness, whatever that looks like. But they also blunt the good effects, like the happiness, the passion, the creativity, the feeling of appreciation and gratitude, right? And I think that's why a lot of people come to me and they're curious about microdosing, is because they want to feel again. They want to be able to feel present in their body and their life with their children. Again, SSRIs they get you back to that balance and the equilibrium, which is awesome. But to be on them long term isn't really realistic because, again, you're just blunting your entire experience. So the difference when you microdose versus use an SSRI, the microdose is going to increase your emotional capacity, most likely. It's going to bring stuff to the surface. Again, like with me, bringing up sadness. Well, why am I sad? Bringing up anxiousness. Okay, well, what's making me anxious? And that's my work really is to help you with the emotional processing aspect of that, because it can be tough. It's raw. It's vulnerable. That's why we're on the SSRI in the first place, because it's really hard to be in our body. I struggled for years and years and years with dissociation, because if I were to be in my body to fully be here embodied would be to feel so heavy, to feel the pain, to feel the shame, to feel all of it. So I tried to hack the system and just lived in a dissociative state and almost floated above my body, trying to not have to deal with all that discomfort. But I like to say the only way out is in. The only way out is in. The only way that we can truly alchemize all of that is by looking at it, bringing it to the surface, integrating it, releasing it, whatever that looks like. And that is my work. What I found a lot too in my personal experience in working with clients is it brings us more into a state of presence in our body. When I microdose personally, it influences my diet choices. I eat healthier. I am more aware of when I'm hungry and when I'm not hungry. And I am more aware of when I'm pushing myself versus when I need rest. And I think that's such a missing piece in today's world too, is we are so disconnected from our mind and body. We have been conditioned to think our way out of everything. Think this way, think this way. If you think about like when you think about when you speak with someone, most of the time I feel like people say, oh, I think that's the right answer. Or do they say, oh, I feel like that's the right answer, right? You can kind of tell if somebody's operating in their mind or their body. And I feel like most of the time people use the word think. And that is because society has prioritized logic and thinking and analyzing way more than it's ever prioritized living in the body and sensing and intuition and inner knowing. And, I always just like to say, like, we're animals. At the end of the day, we're animals. We evolved from animals. When you look at nature, animals sense. They use their instincts. They use their nose, their ears. Like maybe they use their eyes. I think as humans, we're one of the species that rely heavily on our eyes and not really the other senses. Our seeing is our best sense. And we kind of forget that we have all these senses and we have this feedback. Our body is literally this system of many systems that is a living miracle. It's amazing when you can look at a cellular level how many functions our body has and how intelligent it is and how it doesn't need anything but itself to be self-healing and regenerative. Think of a cut, right? We send our white blood cells and our defense mechanisms there. If we have a fever, like our healing is activated. We have such intelligence in our body, but we tend to write it off as not important or irrelevant. And again, partially due to society and just we don't know, and we just value pushing through and thinking it through way too much. And so plant medicine and microdosing for me was like the game changer when it came to being embodied and living through my body, because I suffered from that disconnect for a very, very long time. So there are some myths that I often hear, or the questions that I always get is it like taking drugs? And you'll never hear me call mushrooms drugs. They're medicinal. They're medicinal mushrooms. They are plant medicine. They are medicine. Yes, people do use mushrooms in a settings such as like a music festival or maybe hanging out with friends. And that can definitely have their benefits, right? That can open the door and sometimes you just have a really fun time with it. You're laughing and, being in nature is a great way to partake in plant medicine. But to me, it's you'll never hear me call it a drug. It's not taking a drug. It's not about escaping. It's not about numbing. It's quite the opposite. It is about feeling your feelings. It is about taking an honest look at what's blocking you and working through it so that you can, again, elevate yourself. It's really strange to me when we glorify alcohol. Like you see commercials everywhere, billboards everywhere. Our whole society is built off of alcohol. Alcohol will steal your soul. I used to abuse alcohol 3 to 4 times a week, blacking out, doing crazy stuff, not being myself, because I wanted to escape. I wanted to escape the discomfort that I was experiencing. I wanted to escape my inner critic, the nonstop thinking mind that just was driving me insane. So I turned to alcohol to help alleviate that. But what I ended up with was just a hangover the next day and an immense feeling of guilt and anxiety and feeling like shit. Like really, it's so detrimental to our body. And so that's when I think about more of a drug is alcohol or some of the other substances that we use to numb out or to escape reality. And again, mushrooms to me are quite the opposite. The other thing I kind of touched on already, but I hear all the time, like, is it going to make me high? Can I still go to work? Can I still operate? Like, what does that look like? And yes, you can do all the things when you microdose. It will not make you high. You will feel, I'd say, pretty normal. The effects or they say they're sub-perceptual, which means you don't feel it. But I do feel like on some level, you do feel more grounded and more present. And I hear a lot of the times people feel more creative or they feel more focused. And I always hear that people feel less reactive. Say their husband picked a fight with them. They will come back and they'll say like, oh, I didn't react. I didn't really drill into him like I normally did. I felt more present in that reaction. And so those are really the effects that you'll feel with a microdose. But again, it's not something that we pop and we expect a magic pill to come from. It is a prolonged practice, more about the process itself, more about the ritual of it. I like to say dating the medicine. You're really building a relationship with it. And in that, you're going to build your relationship with yourself, hearing, again, what your body signals and messages are. And again, it works the same way as a larger dose where the psilocybin is creating new neural pathways. It's creating new ways of being. It's opening doors that weren't there before, or new options, or again, giving you space in between the triggered responses and how you would typically respond. It works on the brain over time, but just because we don't feel it like we would a large dose doesn't mean it's still not working. The other thing I've kind of touched on is it is not a magic pill. I've had people come to me and think, oh, it's like a supplement. I pop it, I go to work, I do nothing, and it's going to heal me. And that is quite the opposite, right? It is anything that you do, the intention that you put into it is what you get out of it, inputs and outputs. And so pairing microdosing, this is again why I do the work that I do, pairing it with coaching, pairing it with a framework that's been proven, pairing it with somebody who pretty much knows maybe what's going to come up or what to expect or how to work through certain parts of the process, working with integration tools, journaling about the experience, tracking how it makes you different, right? We might feel like we feel different, which is awesome, but like, how can we quantitatively bring the analytical part into it and track the actually how that change is being made? Are you responding different to people? Are you experiencing more energy? Are you getting more work done? Are you feeling more creative? Like, so I always recommend I have like some journal prompts and reflection sheets that I give to my clients so that they can actually track this. And again, microdosing will give you the aha moments, or like, oh wow, that's why I'm operating that way. Oh wow, that's a childhood trauma that I'm operating and programming out of. But if we don't actually like make the change, then what good is the experience itself? And so again, that's why my work is heavily reliant on nervous system work and subconscious mind reprogramming, because our body is wired for survival. It's wired for comfort. Anything that's new is seen as threatening, even though it's good for us. So implementing a new practice, integrating a new habit, going out to meet somebody new, getting out of your comfort zone, meeting your edges. Those are all threatening to our body. They're threatening to our nervous system. And so much of the work is nervous system tools, using our eyes, using our breath, integrating practices that help us with this process of neurogenesis and creating new ways of being. And on the same level, the subconscious mind, right? We're just going to default to our old conditioning because it's so ingrained. We've been operating out of that way for years, usually decades. And so, of course, it's easier to take the well-worn route. If you think about it like a trail, where, right, we're creating this new trail in the woods, we walk on it several times, and over time it becomes a trail. And it's much easier to take that trail than it is to forage your own way and take a hike in no man's land, right? And so that's kind of the way our brain operates. If we want to get down to the neuroscience part of it, the neurons have this thing called a myelin sheath. And so the neural pathways that we use more are more myelinated. And that's why we default back. That's why I defaulted back to compulsive eating as a regulation tool for so long, because it was just such a well-worn pathway. And so in my experience with the use of microdosing, with the use of regulation tools, I was able to become more aware of my emotions, number one. For a long time, I would binge eat and compulsive eat without knowing why or how. And so I'd be standing at the fridge, just eating, no thought behind it, no knowledge of why. And the first step for me was awareness. Okay, I'm still eating at the fridge, but I'm anxious. I can feel that I'm anxious because I have a presentation later. Next step, before going to the fridge, it's like, I'm going to the fridge because I have a presentation later. Before I get to the fridge, what am I going to do instead? I'm going to take a couple deep breaths. I'm going to go walk my dog instead. I'm going to maybe have a tea instead, right? Like finding a new alternative for that pattern, disrupting that pattern. And the more that, I would go take a walk rather than compulsive eating, the more that trail starts to become easier and easier to take. And that's kind of how it works neurologically. And then, on a subconscious level, it's kind of the same way. Let me think of a limiting belief. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy of love. Those are, some of the dialogues that I would always have. And just flipping the script, like, again, awareness is the first key, like noticing that dialogue and immediately replacing it with, I am enough. I am worthy of love. I am a child of God. I am perfect. I am perfectly imperfect, right? None of us are perfect, but I am the way that I'm exactly the way I'm supposed to be. And yeah, that's a lot. That's why I integrate so much of that into both of my personalized microdosing program, one-on-one, and with the Evolve Medicine program, which is an 8-week program that goes exactly that, bottom up, from nervous system, physiological, emotional processing, and then into the mindset stuff, the subconscious reprogramming and rewiring with habits and long-lasting transformation through aligned action. So I've kind of touched on some of this already, but I just want to go over, I'd say, the top keys for me to help with the most successful microdosing protocol or experience. And the first thing is intention setting, right? Like I said, intention is everything. If we just blindly do something and hope for the best, that is the result that we're going to get. But if we have an intention, a compass, a why, then we can always come back to that why and work with the medicine in helping us achieve that. So an intention is usually like, who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to release? What do you want to get out of this process? What areas of my life do I want to improve? How do I want to feel in my body? What is the why behind doing this, right? And so a lot of the intentions that I tend to see is I want to feel safe in my body. I want to cultivate presence in my body. I want to feel more calm and less reactive. I want to taper off of medications and not rely on anything. I want to take control of my health. I want to unlock my creativity, my full potential, because I feel blocked, I feel stuck, and I don't know why. The other thing, and I've touched on this quite a bit, but is consistency. You're not going to take it once and have a magic result. You're not going to take it for a week. Even a month may not be long enough. But if you think about it like a gym, right? You don't go to the gym once and get muscles. You go to the gym over time, and then you start to see that progress. And that's exactly how microdosing works. I'm not a huge stickler on protocols. I like to empower my clients into, what's realistic for you or what feels good to you. I say maybe a good protocol is 3 days on and 2 days off, or 4 days on and 2 days off. The reason we have the days off is so that we don't build our tolerance, and also just to check in with our body to notice the subtle differences between the dosing days and the non-dosing days. But I think the best part about this process is tapping into your intuition. What feels good to you? So if you feel like you do better with making a choice to take it before a social setting, to take it before work, take it on this day because you think you'll need it. I always encourage my people to take it intuitively and develop the relationship themselves with it. And like I said too, tracking. Tracking is huge in this process. Tracking how you feel on dosing days, how you feel on non-dosing days, tracking your emotions, your dreams, your energy levels, just trying to really get down to the nitty-gritty and where the results are coming, and how can you start to apply a lot of that knowledge. And during this time, I always tell clients, take advantage of it. You are open for programming. Your brain is physiologically creating new neural pathways. So go learn a new skill, go learn to play guitar, go take a new dance class, go meet up with a new community, build those new habits that you've been wanting. And the best way to do that too is habit stacking. So brush your teeth and then go journal. Go eat your meal and then go do a walk to meditate and ground, right? So just stacking on the things that we're already doing. So the older I get too, the more woo-woo I feel like I seem, or delulu, whatever you want to call it. But I wholeheartedly believe in taking this time for connection with the medicine. Like I said, it's like dating the medicine. You want to deepen your relationship with it because it is something that you can work with. You can ask it questions and it'll give you answers. It's an ancient plant spirit. Again, they've been around for thousands and thousands of years. They have so much wisdom. And I think it's a great time to reconnect back with nature. We are extensions of nature itself. We are animals. We come from nature. We are not separate. We are not better than nature. Nature has a whole other consciousness that's probably even more advanced than ours. We use language and we think that we are so advanced, but nature, look at the cycles of nature. Nature doesn't make mistakes. Nature doesn't try to be anything but what it is. Nature is perfectly in rhythm, perfectly in sync. And so there's so much to learn from that. Nature is our greatest teacher, and working with plant spirits will increase your connection with Earth itself. And for me, I always experienced a little bit of religious trauma. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and I felt very disconnected and separate, very isolated, very unworthy, very much like, if I'm not perfect, I'm going to go to hell. I'm a sinner. I'm shameful. And working with plant medicine connected me back to the earth, Mother Earth, Gaia. And that is my source. That is my creator. That is what I connect with, it's not about me. It's not about my ego. I don't do this for me. It's about whatever's trying to be expressed through me. And since just finding a source, a higher power to connect through has made me a clear channel. It's made me a hollow bone for this, for me speaking, for me creating stuff, for me working with people. And it's so freeing to not have that ego like get in the way of like, what if you're not good enough? What if nobody watches? What if nobody joins your program? It's like, it's for the greater good. I'm putting it out there and I hope it just reaches one person. So I would definitely encourage you to connect with some sort of higher power or integrate some spirituality or just some ritual, right? Just a quick prayer or whatever that looks like. I promise you it makes the experience a lot more potent. And we can also take it a step further and connect with community. This is a time, again, might be raw, might be vulnerable. It's not always easy. And finding a program like I run Evolve, where we're microdosing together. We're all on the same journey. I have a monthly meetup where we talk about integration and just meet as a community. I do monthly breathwork and sound healing meetups as well, but just finding like-minded souls who understand you and can reflect back the journey that you're on, can reflect back your strengths, can just provide you a safe space where you can be yourself, where you can show up authentically, because that's what this process is all about. It's about shedding the layers that aren't you, that aren't your truth, that are the conditioning that's been shit on you since you've been birthed onto this earth. And we want to be able to step into our power, into our authenticity. And it's really important that we do that in community. We didn't get all this trauma from ourselves in a vacuum. And so healing is not in a vacuum either. It's not something that we do isolated. So definitely find people that you resonate with and lean on them during this time. And the last thing I've already touched on a bit, but integration and working with a coach. And so again, we can have these experiences, these aha moments, but what does it all mean if we're not applying it to our daily life? And so finding ways to make it an embodied experience. And at the same time, a coach is so great for this. It's providing that accountability. It's like, okay, we're aware of this now. Are you going to change it? Or are you going to just continue to operate out of the same pattern? Right. And it's just that like loving nudge, that witness to cheer you on. Like I always say I'm really more of like a teammate. I just like want to cheer you on and empower you and be there for you, especially in the tough moments when it's like, I know change is hard. I feel you. Like, I feel it on such a soul level. Like, again, we're wired for familiarity. So change feels so, so hard. And so it just makes all the difference to have somebody in your corner and be like, I know you got it. I know you got it. Just take the leap. And it's not this like, I'm healed, I'm transforming. It's always going to look like this. I like to say it's a spiral, but it's a spiral upward. But again, we're all gonna, like, I fall back into the same patterns all the time, like self-sabotaging behaviors, because it's like, no, we want to stay small. We want to stay familiar. It's uncomfortable to step into this new level. So to have somebody witness you in that too, and in the times where you're, the dips or the lows, whatever, it's like, let me help pick you back up. Let's keep going. This is inevitable. It's part of the process. It makes all the difference to just have that validation. I have several coaches that I work with that when I get back into those patterns, it's like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And they know exactly what to say or do to help keep me just like on the up, right? And like I said, too, emotions may come up. The reason they haven't probably come up before is because you didn't have the support system or the container to process them in. The unconscious mind will keep things repressed or hidden away until it feels safe to actually process them. And that is one of the beautiful things about our body and its defense mechanism. It's like it has the ability to keep that stuff under the surface because you physically and mentally can't deal with it. But when you're held and you're in a safe container, when you have somebody who witnesses you in that, the subconscious mind will bring it up, which is a good thing. It means it's time. It's time to let it go. It's time to create space for new ways of being and for things that actually serve you. And this goes hand in hand with integration too. I'm a certified breath instructor, a ton of breath work, a ton of nervous system tools, a ton of practical things that you can actually apply. I don't throw all the things at you, but it's like, what are the few things that like are realistic and you actually enjoy doing and that you're going to do during this time? And so, yeah, I probably threw a lot of information out here, but microdosing, I feel like I could nerd out on forever. It's one of my passions. It's what I truly wholeheartedly believe in. I'm biased, but I believe it's the future. I think it's a way of connecting humanity back to nature, back to earth, back to their inner wisdom, right? Where we want to be guided by ourselves, by our intuition, rather than constantly be guided by the news or the authority figures that really don't have our intentions at heart. And we can get into that later, all the connectedness of that. But yeah, it's my goal just to empower other people to find their own path and listen to their inner wisdom. So if you are interested, if you have questions about microdosing, if you just want to connect and see if this is something that you're looking for support with, please reach out to me. Like I said, I have a few options when it comes to microdosing. I do a personalized one-on-one protocol. It's a call where we kind of go over your goals, your energy type, your physiology. We work with herbalism. We work with human design. So I work very closely with other herbs besides mushrooms, but working with herbs that will support your goals and what you're looking for. And the other way that you can work with me is an 8-week mentorship. It's offered in one-on-one or group. It's called the Evolve Medicine Integration Program. And what that looks like, there's a 100-page guidebook. We go through, I think I've mentioned this, just nervous system, physiology, emotional processing, and the mindset stuff, because I truly believe we need to build the foundation. We need to ground in our physical body first before we can actually ascend. And, everybody talks about enlightenment and expansion and ascendance, but we're like a tree. We have to build our roots first. And that's what Evolve is all about. It's this proven framework of, grounding, building the foundation and building from there. And I absolutely love this program. This is like my passion. It's my life's work. I love doing it with one-on-one clients. I love doing it in group setting. But if that's something that interests, we are launching the next group October 26th. And you can just book a clarity call with me to see if that's something you're interested in, if you're a good fit for. So yeah, I appreciate you all if you're still here listening to me. I am always here if you are just looking for support or if you have any questions. And yeah, I love you all. I appreciate you, and I'm sending you so much love, and I hope you have the best day.